compassion, reverence. As I was researching identity within our UU faith, I stumbled across the branding webpage for the Unitarian Universalist Association. Boldness, compassion, and reverence were the three things that Unitarian Universalists internationally said that they identified as core tenets of the Unitarian Universalist faith. I was floored. Boldness, compassion, and reverence. But then I realized that these things were broken down into different questions, and in the answers, these categories really touched Unitarian Universalists in the way that they identify themselves. So let's talk about that. Boldness. The idea that as Unitarian Universalists, we are able to seek out our own path. We are able to cast aside in many chances, and in other chances grow into our own identity as religious people. We are able to determine that the beliefs that we hold are so important to us that we will do the things that we need to do to protect them. Which is interesting because I believe that if we talk to fundamentalists of any faith, they also believe these things. Boldness. To be willing to be you no matter what. To be willing to hold your faith group into a level of understanding to others no matter what. Boldness. And so I started to say to myself, Antonia, how are you bold? What are you doing that seems bold to you? Where does boldness fit in your identity? And I actually thought about that for a while, and I felt like, well, I'm not bold per se. I may have my beliefs and seek them out. I may decide that something is important to me and do everything that I can do to accomplish it. I may even have talks with families and friends and sometimes strangers about things that I think are not necessarily the easiest things to talk about. But I don't know if it's bold. And then I thought about it a little bit longer. Boldness, part of being bold, can be being uncomfortable and doing it anyway. Part of being bold can be the person to say, I'm not sure that we should be doing this, or I'm not sure that we should not do that. Boldness. Compassion. I could see it right away. I could see how Unitarian Universalists identify as compassionate people. Look at our social justice. Look at the ways in which we have our religious education programs or exploration programs. Even look at what we promote across all parts of our website and our sharing of who we are. Compassion, absolutely. But then I started to think about it a little more, and I said to myself, Antonia, how can we as Unitarian Universalists say that we are compassionate and that we honor and cherish being compassionate and also have things like the article in the UU World about transgender people, and also have the issues that we are having around race and classism and ableism? How can we say that we are compassionate, yet we often do not operate in compassionate ways? And I thought, we are and we're not. We are compassionate in the ways that we have felt that we reach people. We are compassionate in the ways that we think are important at the time, to the people that we think are important at the time. So let's be very clear. In the 1800s, I wouldn't be able to sit here today with you and very clearly know that when I finish seminary, I can become a Unitarian Universalist minister. Compassion, yes and no. But we also are human, and we also are trying. So what I say to that is that we need to be compassionate with everyone, and we also need to be compassionate with ourselves. And that means saying the hard things like, we must have action to do better in the ways that we treat people who are not the people that we normally hold up as people of importance. People who are differently abled. People who are black and brown. People who have varying gender identities and sexualities. People who are overweight. People who do not go along with our necessary political views, even though we say that we don't have a specific political view, we often live our social justice in ways that imply that we do. And reverence. What do we revere? I look around at our chalices and our trappings of spirituality, and I can see so many things that we revere. But I also look into the eyes of our children. I look into the eyes of the people that come to our churches. I look into the eyes and the writings and the audio and the photographs of people just like you and me. And I know one thing that we revere. We revere our ability to say and to live our spiritual or not so spiritual beliefs. We truly revere the way that we interact with the environment. And then it gets a little bit more murky, because some of us revere some things and some of us revere other things. But we also revere the ability to sit in community and worship together and know that we don't all believe the same thing. And that's great. Boldness, compassion, and reverence. When you think about this in your life, what do you see? What do you practice? How do you want to be? And how do you want to contribute to the brand, the identity of Unitarian Universalism all over the planet? Boldness, compassion, and reverence. What is your Unitarian Universalist identity?